What's up, guys? All right, today we're going to be taking a look at the Holosun 507C with the ACSS reticle. Huge shout out to Primary Orange for sending this optic out for review, and was speaking with Dimitri, who is the designer of this reticle right here that is the ACSS Vulcan reticle. He said he worked with special operations and law enforcement to design a reticle that would aid you when shooting on the move. Now, if you just go to the range and you just static shoot all day, circle dot in a normal Holosun 507C probably treats you pretty well. But if you use this reticle, or this optic, rather words, in self-defense or law enforcement or even special operations, this reticle will actually aid you when shooting on the move and in weird shooting stances, as such as laying on the ground underneath vehicles or any other odd shooting situation that you may be into. This reticle will aid you in finding the chevron and making quicker, faster shots, which in those situations are always better. So let me get into why that is, how this reticle works, and some of the specifications on it. Okay, so first you'll see from this photo that you have a 250 MOA circle with a 10 MOA chevron in the middle. Now, the 250 MOA circle, if you have the optic close, which you're not going to do this, but I'm just saying, if you first get it and you pull it up close, you will be able to see that 250 millimeter circle. Now, once you extend your arms into a shooting grip, all you see is the chevron, and it is made that way on purpose. So if you get it and you pick it up and you're like, oh, there it is, you hold that and it's gone. That's the intention of the design of the reticle. Okay, there is a precision aiming point on this reticle, and that is made for a purpose because this reticle also has a bullet drop compensator made into it. So when you go to sight this optic in, what you will want to do is, first of all, sight the very tip of the reticle in at 25 yards for 9mm. We're going to use 9mm because I've got it on 9mm, and I feel like a lot of people are going to put this on 9mm. But as you can see from this photo, there are several different calipers, and it tells you how you can sight these in to have your bullet drop compensator work with it. But for 9mm, you sight the tip of the chevron in at 25 yards. Then, if you go down right underneath the tip where the lines first join of the chevron, that is your 50-yard holdover. So if you're sighted in at 25, if you go right down underneath it, right where the two lines first begin, that will be your 50-yard holdover, so you should be on at 50 yards at that point. Now, if you come all the way down to the bottom leg of the chevron, that is your 100-yard holdover. That also plays double role. So you have two legs of the chevron that holds or also works as a holdover for windage. So if you have a 10-mile-an-hour wind coming from the left to the right, if you hold the right chevron leg at the very bottom at 100 yards over to the center of the target, that will adjust for the 10-mile-an-hour wind, and vice versa for a right to left wind. So not only do you have a bullet drop compensator, you do have a little bit of windage factored in for 10-mile-an-hour wind gust as well. And then you can see the rest of the 45, 40, 556, 308, and 762 by 39 or 300 blackout. Just set them up as in the diagram below. Okay, so next, how does this optic work? And how does it work better on the move and make you a better shooter on the move? So if you look at this photo right here, you can see if you're aimed too far right, you're going to be able to see that half moon or that half circle come into the window. And if you're aimed too far left, you'll be able to see the opposite side of that circle coming into the window. As again, if you're aimed too far low, you'll be able to see the top of the circle come in the window. Vice versa, if you're aimed too far high, you'll be able to see the bottom of the circle come in the window. And how this works is when you bring this optic up, if you're off one direction or the other, you see that, and your mind will automatically adjust and bring that dot, or make the adjustments needed to bring that dot back into the window. You don't really have to think about it, especially once you get used to bringing it up. Your mind will auto correct that, and you don't really have to think about it. Which on the move, that dot is going to be bouncing around. If you've ever shot on the move while you're just like moving around trying to take shots, that dot not only moves for recoil, but it also moves because you are taking steps. So having something in there that your mind tells you, hey, that dot is moving, we need to autocorrect left, right, up, down, or whatever it may be, will make it a quicker acquisition for the dot to get back on target and be able to make hits on target faster. Which, there again, will definitely aid, CCW, carriers, law enforcement, military, people like that. Anything that will make it quicker to get back on target is definitely a positive in anyone's book. But that is how that works. And it's cool that your mind kind of auto fixes that without you having to think about it. You would think, well, oh, I see that, I've got to think for a second to move it back, but that's not really the way it works. When you pull this up, if it's not there, your mind fixes it. You don't have to think about it. So it is much quicker than just the circle dot, because if you bring up that circle dot and it's not there, now you have to try to find that circle dot and where it's off. But with this, you don't even have to think about it. It just fixes it for you. So now that we've kind of gone over all the specs and how the Optic kind of works, let's go to the range and see how it shoots. All right, we made it over to the range, and I just got done sighting this in at 25 yards, and tack driver. Now I do want to say I forgot my tool to actually lock down the rear sight, so it's getting a little bit loose. Nothing to do with the Optic. I just forgot to actually bring the tool to tighten down the plate sight. But let me take you off the camera, go show you this, and then we'll talk about the Optic a little more. But I do want to clarify one thing real quick. I was editing the first part of this video last night because when I drove over here the other day, it was raining and I didn't get to finish the second half of this video where we were shooting with the Optic on it. But I said that the bottom leg of the chevron was 100 yards, and that is, depending on which side it is, that's the windage holdover. The center of the chevron is actually your 100-yard no wind. So if you have windage, like 10-mile-an-hour wind, you can hold to one leg or the other. If no wind at all, you just hold in between the two legs of the chevron, and that's your 100-yard zero if you zero the pistol at the tip of the chevron at 25 yards. I was editing that, and I thought I may not have made that quite clear enough, so I wanted to clarify that before we got into actually the shooting portion of the video. But let me take you off the camera, show you what we got. Some of these were a little sporadic because I wasn't counting my clicks. I just do it, just start clicking and see where it goes. A way better way to do this than the way I'm doing it. But I want to show you what we got down here after zero. So you can see here I was low to start with, and I actually got high, and then I figured it out. Figured it out. That's pretty amazing, actually. So I do want to do a little bit more shooting from like 10 yards, since that is the more self-defense range. I'm going to put up a new target, throw up a shoot and see. And you have to remember something too. When you sight this in at 25 yards, you're probably going to be a little low at like 10 yards because of actually the way this reticle is sighted in. So we're going to check that and see exactly how low you are at 10 yards when you're zeroed at 25, because 7 to 10 is a more realistic self-defense distance. So if you sight this in like I did, because I wanted to sight into what they recommended so my holdovers and bullet drop would be correct, I want to show you exactly where you need to hold off at to hit zero on your target at like 10 yards, let's say. Okay, 10 yards, have another shoot and see set up. Just shooting Blazer brass 115 grain ball ammo. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put the top of the chevron on the center of the little 3-inch shoot and see, and we're just going to see where the bullet impacts. And then we'll see where we need to hold off at to actually hit the center of the target. Okay, so the last one I must have pulled up on a little bit because the first two were a little low. can show you this right here. That last one, I must have shot a little quick because the first two were actually low, and then I actually got this one up. So just as I thought, if you zero at 25 yards, you are going to be a little bit low at 10 yards. So let's pull up almost like to the center of the chevron, and let's just see where we hit then. Actually, I pulled one. I'm going to do that again. That's bad. That's real bad. Still got one high. But you'll be able to see here, using like the center of the chevron, I'll be able to show you. Still got one a little bit high. This was the first round, but all of them were pretty much down here. So we're getting right down below the center. So let's kind of use where you would say almost like the 100-yard shot. So we're going to use the bottom of the chevron and kind of put it at the red dot. Okay, let's see what we got. I knew I didn't have many rounds left, so I just went ahead and fired them off. As you can see right here, these are the last three, and I actually had it right here. I had it a little lower to start with, and it just tore out this big chunk right here. But if you hold it kind of right above, I guess, where the chevron, the bottom of the chevron is, that's probably where like your 10-yard mark is. But if you're talking about in a self-defense situation, you just put that chevron on a chest and you're going to hit it. So let me put up another target, and I want to show you what I'm talking about there. Okay, so now I've put up an anatomy target. I want to show you what I'm talking about, an anatomy target. So we're going to try to aim for like center mass right here. In a self-defense situation, you don't want to aim small. You want to aim for a large target. So we're actually going to aim center mass. We're just going to stick that chevron right on the center of that target and pull the trigger. And I'm just going to show you that at 10 yards, you're going to be just fine. You don't have to worry about where you're going to place it. I just wanted to show you if you had to take a precision shot, where you might have to hold that chevron at if you sighted in at 25 yards. Okay, so we're just going to throw the dot up. Quick shooting. You know, didn't take my time. Put the chevron on the center. The chevron is very quick to find, and everything is just right here. Cover it with my fist. Perfectly good to go. So you don't have to worry about that. I just wanted to show you for the precision shooting. But that isn't where this sight really comes in and does its great work at. I want to show you something. Okay, let me see if I can get this in camera. I'm not sure if I can, but we're going to try. Okay, so you can see that circle and that chevron right there. If I go out further, that circle is going to go away. And if I go out like full length where I would be standing, the circle pretty much goes completely away like that right there. So if you're moving and the dot starts to move, you can see that 250 MOA circle come into play, and your mind automatically corrects it back whichever direction it needs to go. So as you're moving and the gun is moving and that circle is bouncing into the picture, your mind will auto correct for that and get the chevron back into the middle. That's actually a pretty good picture of the reticle. I didn't think that would show up that good, but the camera's working well today. Okay, so we're actually going to try some moving and shooting now. I'm going to move towards the camera while shooting at the target and see exactly what we get, and I'll give you my opinion on how this reticle actually works in that situation. So I will tell you, as the reticle moved, I was able to find it very quickly. Some of my shots were a little low right there. because I don't practice moving as much as I would like to, but they were still all on target. I'm gonna try going the other direction now, shooting kind of across my body and see how it works like that. Okay, I even took a few headshots on that one. Now for everybody that says, hey, you're gonna be running and shooting is crazy hard. I actually flew one up on that, but so while you're moving and shooting, you can see we tore him up here, took a headshot there, got him in the shoulder there. I was actually going for this general area right here, the smaller part. Got hits. Here's the one I missed up here, but everything else was actually on target and mainly in center mass. So this reticle actually does aid in moving and shooting, because as you're moving and the reticle is bouncing, it actually helps your mind. Like, I never thought about pulling the reticle back into the optic, because as soon as my mind seen that half moon or whatever that appeared, whichever direction it was, it auto corrected and brought that chevron back to the center. And making center mass shots are very easy with this optic, and that is exactly what Primary Arms, when they designed this, was going for, to make moving and shooting actual self-defense situation and scenarios much easier, and they have achieved that, in my opinion. Because with a regular dot, as you're moving, if that dot leaves the screen like we talked about earlier, it's gone. Now you have to find it. With this, it helps you find it, and your mind auto corrects and brings it back. If you're looking for a Holosun, this will probably be the only type of Holosun I buy from here on out, or any kind of optic for that. If I can get the ACSS reticle, I'm going to do so, because I really think it aids you in a self-defense situation. And when seconds count, I want every second I can actually get. I appreciate y'all watching this video. Thank you for Primary Arms for sending this out. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. I love you guys. Thank you for watching this long. Share this video, because, you know, the algorithm doesn't like gun reviews, so make sure you share this video with anybody you think might want to have some optic knowledge. And again, I think this would be great for a starter person who is just getting into optics, because there again, it will help you find that dot a little quicker when you bring it up, because that does take some reps and practice to do so, and this will just aid you in getting faster at that. Love you guys. See you next time.